Hello, and welcome to another installment of Whether or Not. This week we're going to delve into the severe weather outbreak that occurred in central Oklahoma and give you some details about the strong EF5 tornado that devastated Moore, Oklahoma. We'll talk about how budget cuts and storm sheltering affected the incident, and then we'll talk about another summer danger, the heat. It's sure to be a good episode, so don't touch that remote. For now, here's Whether or Not. Hello, and thanks for tuning in this week. I'm your host, Tom Bedard.
And I'm your forecaster, Travis Patterson.
Well, Travis, we've had a lot of interesting weather this past week. We had a couple of thunderstorms, but I think the main story was really the heat and the humidity that we might not have been expecting so early into May.
Yeah, I noticed it was rather sticky outside. We hit 81 on Monday, 86 on Tuesday, and then we bubbled up to about 88 degrees on Wednesday. We do have some major changes in the forecast. Could be 30 degrees cooler by Friday, but your Memorial Day weekend is shaping up to be rather dry and pleasant.
Dry and pleasant, I like that. I have some plans to take the grill into the backyard and barbecue, and I'm looking forward to your forecast. But for now, let's delve into the severe weather that occurred this week in Oklahoma, as well as take note of some precautionary measures about dangerous heat possible this summer. Now, for Nature in the News. At 2:46 p.m. Central Daylight Time on May 20th, a tornado formed near the town of Newcastle, Oklahoma, a town roughly 20 miles to the south of Oklahoma City. The tornado was spawned by a supercell thunderstorm that formed to the southwest of Newcastle and Moore, Oklahoma. National Weather Service meteorologists in Norman, Oklahoma, noticed a formation known as a hook echo visible in the supercell and issued a tornado warning 16 minutes prior to the tornado's formation. Viewer video shows a tornado which later struck Moore, Oklahoma, and it forms in a field outside of the town in Newcastle in the classic elephant trunk shape, but quickly transitions into a wedge-shaped tornado as it both strengthens and collects debris from the town. The tornado quickly moved to Moore, Oklahoma, strengthening as it did so. The tornado struck the town's hospital, elementary school, movie theater, and neighborhoods, injuring roughly 240 and killing 24. The tornado dissipated at 3:35 Central Daylight Time, allowing rescue and recovery efforts to begin. Efforts were heavily focused on the Plaza Towers Elementary School, where early reports placed 70 teachers, students, and staff in the building at the time of the tornado. The building, for the exception of a few walls, some of which still had coats and backpacks on hooks, was unrecognizably demolished. It was later realized that teachers had led some groups of students to a local church, while other, younger groups of students were left inside of the elementary school at the time of the tornado. Recovery efforts that you may wish to participate in, or any relief funds that you wish to provide to the event, may be given through the American Red Cross's website.
In lighter news, take yourself outside and turn your eyes to the west this Sunday. Stargazers and sky watchers alike should prepare for quite a sight, as Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter will be visible in a triangle formation just after sunset on the horizon. Experts say that the best time to see the rare formation will be 30 to 60 minutes just after sunset. If you aren't able to catch a glimpse of clear sky, the next chance that you'll be able to see this special sight will be in October of 2015. The formation will be easy to see from the relatively light pollution-free sky above the areas outside of State College, but you will even be able to see the triangle of planets from areas with light pollution. Why is that? The three brightest planets visible from Earth are in fact Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, making this opportunity accessible almost anywhere with a clear view of the western horizon. However, if you want to make the most of the opportunity, take a note from our show back in early May when we talked about the Lyrid meteor shower, and head out to Cherry Springs State Park and Susquehannock State Forest. The park is a mecca for local astronomers and the best place to stargaze in the state. The sky above Cherry Springs is a Class 2 on the Bort Dark Sky scale, representing that its sky is almost no light pollution in it. For a point of reference, the sky above State College is between a Class 6 and Class 7.
This Friday, May 24th, is National Heat Awareness Day. The National Weather Service is asking all individuals to take note of the symptoms and treatments for heat-related illnesses, which continue to be one of the leading weather-related killers in the United States every year. On the National Weather Service's website, they provide a breakdown for each one of their extreme heat-related advisories. Excessive heat outlooks are placed when dangerously high temperatures are expected within the next 3 to 7 days. Excessive heat watches are issued when dangerous weather is expected between the next 24 to 72 hours. And excessive heat warnings and advisories are issued when the weather is currently dangerously hot or is expected to be dangerously hot within the near future. And they pinpointed a few medical conditions such as heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke that can be fatal if the correct first aid is not applied. Check out the National Weather Service website to learn more about these first aid precautions, or contact your local fire or ambulance company or Red Cross for first aid classes that will provide you with the necessary training in first aid. Now let's turn it over to Travis, who can tell us if we're going to expect any dangerously hot weather within the near future.
Well, no hot weather in the forecast anytime soon. We saw 88 degrees here on Wednesday. We'll be at the opposite end of the temperature scale come this time on Friday, about 30 degrees colder, and that's thanks to the storm system moving through our area. Cold front moves in early morning hours on Friday, and along with it some chances for some light showers. Those showers will be ending westward to eastward across the state. Then on Saturday, that system moves farther off to the north and east, and behind it a high pressure system tries to quickly build in. So those southerly winds that were ushering in that warm Gulf moist air will switch directions now out to the northwest, and that will usher in some much colder Canadian air, and will stay breezy throughout the day on Saturday into Sunday as well, but we will see some sun for this Memorial Day weekend. Breaking it down for you a little further with the details, on Friday, we'll see those chilly rain showers move in for the first half on Friday, and we'll struggle to reach about 57 degrees on Friday. And Friday night, it'll be a chilly one as well. We'll dip down to about 40 degrees. Those clouds will continue to break, and those clouds will break even more on Saturday. We'll see some brighter skies on Saturday with a high of around 61 degrees, but it will be breezy out there, folks, around 15 miles per hour. So if you are headed out to Boalsburg to catch that parade and celebrate Memorial Day here this weekend, I do suggest to bring a jacket along with you, because those winds could gust up to around 20 miles per hour, and it could feel a little chilly at times. Chilly overnight as well. Cool night ahead Saturday night, 41 degrees with some patchy clouds here and there. On Sunday, some brilliant sunshine returns, and we'll try to warm up to about 66 degrees, and it will be clear overnight Sunday night as well. So look off to the west on the horizon to catch those alignment of the planets. We'll be back in a moment with more.
Here at Penn State University, a lot of the construction and maintenance takes place throughout the summer. How can weather affect these different operations? I sat down with Mr. Paul Ruskin, the communications coordinator at the Office of Physical Plant, to see how much weather can affect and cause hassles to these types of projects. The first question I asked Mr. Ruskin was, what type of weather factor has the largest impacts on construction? His reply was,
during the construction phases, the cold is important, but another factor you don't think about is wind. Wind is extremely problematic. If you have high windy days, you can't have scaffolding that's safe for workers to go up on. You also tend to have construction material blown around the work site. So high wind is actually a big factor in delaying construction, as well as cold.
He went on to talk about a severe weather event that happened in 2007 that caused a lot of damage to the Penn State campus.
We had an incident about 5 years ago where we had a microburst. It was sort of a small tornado, came down on Park Avenue, and this microburst took out all the power lines and the utility poles along Park Avenue. It happened between the Beaver Stadium and East Halls area. So about a 4-block piece of road was totally decimated. All the poles were down, and it stopped power to half the campus for about a day.
Now, if you take a drive down Park Avenue, you will notice there is no longer power lines along this road. OPP, after the microburst damage, decided to put them underground so damage like that would never occur again. Another thing people always wonder is why construction seems more prevalent during summer months rather than winter.
The summer is the best time to do construction because the students are mainly gone, the campus is pretty empty, and we have less disruption. However, there's a lot of concrete that gets poured during construction, and concrete does not like freezing weather, so summer is also very good for the concrete. It is easier on the people doing the outside labor. It costs less to do construction in the summer because we don't have to have auxiliary propane heaters, so it actually reduces construction cost by watching the weather.
Using meteorological data can help the Office of Physical Plant be cost-effective, especially when snow falls during central Pennsylvania winters.
It costs a lot of money to operate our buildings because we have so many. We are able to more accurately control when the buildings will have heat and when they will have cooling using the meteorological data. If it weren't for that, there would be much more waste. Because of the scientific knowledge, we can accurately predict when we need to do things. We also are able to plan ahead in our snow removal activities. In the summer, we buy our salt and our anti-skid material for the roads. Because we have data from previous years, we know approximately how much to buy each year.
We've learned that weather can cause a lot of wear and tear to buildings, and if severe weather strikes, wind damage can create a huge toll. Thankfully, we have the workers at the Office of Physical Plant to continue keeping our campus safe and gorgeous. For Weather or Not, I'm Christy Shields.
Well, time now to take one last look at your weekend forecast. We do have one minor hurdle to get over with before we enjoy this gorgeous Memorial Day weekend, and that will be some light showers on Friday with some much chillier air moving into our area. 30 degrees cooler on Friday than we saw on Wednesday earlier this week. It'll be chillier overnight as well, with some clouds starting to diminish, dropping down to about 40 degrees Friday night. Then the sun comes out on Saturday and we try to warm up, but really not getting there all that high. About 61 degrees on Saturday, and we'll see much breezy conditions with some northerly winds ushering in that cooler air. We'll say a little bit warmer on Sunday with a high of around 66 degrees, and it'll be brilliant sunshine out there. That brilliant sunshine continues as we celebrate Memorial Day on Monday, just slightly below average at around 69 degrees. Then we start the gradual warming trend as we head throughout the week with temperatures a few degrees above average, working back into the 80s by the end of the week. Just a few showers moving in on Wednesday, mostly in the western half of the state.
Travis, this week was warm, but you're saying that the early bit of next week looks pretty cool. Yeah, major cool down the weekend. We could start out the early part of next week, a few degrees below average, but we do see some 80s return later in the week. Oh, 80s. Now, 80s can start to become the benchmark of where we see dangerously hot weather, and though we expect something towards the 90s or at least higher humidity. And this is a good time for us to talk about this week's Weather Whiz Quiz. This week's Weather Whiz Quiz was first aid steps for an individual suffering from a heat-related illness do not include what? Is it A, a sports drink, B, cool water immersion, C, an energy drink, or D, applying a cool, wet cloth? And the answer is C. You do not want to give an individual with a heat-related illness an energy drink. A lot of times, energy drinks will help raise a person's heart rate, which is counteracting the cooling that you're trying to give them as a measure of first aid. Yeah, a little more on that. We could see some 80s later on in the week, but those excessive heat temperatures really don't come on until later into the summer for this region, where we see those hot, humid, hazy days of summer. Well, I'm certainly glad that's not in the forecast yet, and on that happy note, I'm your host, Tom Bedard. And I'm your forecaster, Travis Patterson. We'll see y'all next time.